Okay, so the first thing we need to do to set up our member system is to create a database, a blank database in our control panel. Now your C panel may not look the same as this, in fact it may look completely different, but the principles are the same. So first of all we go to databases and we want to create a new database, so we're going to call this Mobi Mem, and we'll create the database. Okay, the database has been created. Now we need to create a user to attach to the database, so we'll call the user Mem. Haven't put a password in yet. So now we need to create a password. Okay, so we've now created the user. Now we need to add the user to the database. So we're going to add the user Mobimem to the Mobimem database, and we give it the privileges. Oops, we forgot. Forgot to make the changes. So make changes. Okay. So now we have our user attached to the database. So that's all we need from the control panel. So we can log out of the control panel. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to log in via FTP to our host, and in this case we're going to install the member system in a subfolder of the main public HTML, but you can install it in the root folder or in a subfolder. So we're going to install it, and we've created a folder called Mobimems. Now what we do is, if you look in the package file that you will have been given, and you've got your project, and you will see a project files folder. Now what we do is just simply upload with the FileZilla everything that's in that project files folder. Now that's just to make sure that we get all the additional files added at the same time. So that will take a few seconds. Okay, so we've uploaded all the files to our server. So now we need to set up the database connection files, etc., and the database tables. So for that we need our registration code, which is in the order email which we received when we placed the order. So we copy that and enter that, and once the registration code is validated, setup will continue automatically. We go in now onto the system parameters screen, so we can set the system parameters, and first of all we need to enter the website URL. And in our case, we remember we put it in a subfolder. Normally you put it in the root folder, and then a name for your system, which will appear on email, and then an email address for your site, and that must be an email address in your on your domain, otherwise your host may not send the emails. Then the location of the database, which will normally be localhost, but you need to check with your host just in case they use something different. then the database name, and you remember the host added a prefix, and the username, again they added a prefix, and then the password. And then we click test connection. Now we should get a database connected okay. If not, you need to go back and correct any errors and try again. And then once you get the OK, you'll get a second button appear, which is to write the file and continue. So we click write file and continue, and we should get a message to say the parameters file has been successfully written, and we then need to continue. When we click continue, it will now create the database tables, and you will get messages to say that everything has created successfully and all the necessary things have been added. If any of those are red, then there's a problem and you will need to check to see what the problem is and contact support if necessary. If you're running this a second time, then you will get error messages on the altering tables, because the tables will have already been created. So then click continue, and we're now ready to proceed. So the system is all now set up, so we can now log in, and if we log in as admin, and the default password, which is in your user guide, and we're now successfully logged in. And so we can then go to the admin page. We're a little bit slow loading the pages here because we're running so many things at the same time here at the moment. And then we can go to the system settings, and we can upload a new email header. We can set the email to address that will have picked up the one we used in the settings, but you can change that so that it sends from a different email address if you wish, and you can also switch off the self-registrations there. So now your system is all set up and ready to go. Then you'll need to edit your site and to add your own members pages, etc. And so look out for the next video, which will show you how to edit your pages within your site. Thank you for watching.
Your dream.